morning, like whatever you normally do to get your day started, right? That's still so important and even more important to do now. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, you did yeah, that's exactly right. It all starts with mindset. And we talk a lot on our calls about how routine is your best friend, right?
Yeah.
If you let routine take a break when you have to kind of go on quarantine like this, it's going to mess you up. So routine is your best friend, and figure out your routine. So let's talk about the elephant in the room in all rooms of all real estate offices right now. And maybe, I don't know if you have any firsthand stories. I would imagine that you do. Have you had to counsel or coach any of your agents through a mindset of there's no use in working right now because you just can't do anything?
Yes, and I think what's important to keep in mind, when you ask the question that way, what it illuminates for me is that's normal all the time. Like there's always something going on in someone's life where they feel like, well, I just can't do it right now. That's the time when you really have to dig deep and plug in and find your why. So if you don't know why you're working every day, you're not going to force yourself to do it for more than 20 minutes. If you know, why am I working today? What am I doing? What are my goals? Do I need to work so I can like feed myself tomorrow? Or do I need to work so I can pay for my kids' college education? Or do I need to work so I can, buy a home or accomplish my goals? To really dig deep on why you go to work every day and what your why is will help keep you focused on getting up and doing your thing every day. The secret about that is it's relevant all the time. The difference now is that some people have um, more or less comfort with getting out there and doing stuff. So what I would encourage you to do is to dig into the resources. KW has put out some awesome resources just from international. The first week we had those live streams, one of the agents talked about how they've been doing virtual listing presentations and buyer presentations for 2 years now. So, and they've done it as a time save because they live in a place where it takes 45 minutes to go back and forth to people's houses. So that's an hour and a half of life they could save by not driving to and from one appointment, by just going click, click, click through on Zoom. And the upside that he's realized is that he has dual screens. So when he has his second screen up, he has his scripts on there. So he has his objection handlers and all this stuff that's prompting him. So now when you're doing a listing presentation or a buyer presentation virtually, which before March 15th might have been strange for your clients to hear, and since March 15th is now just normal, so now you can do that and have the crutch of what the heck do I say when they say X, Y, or Z up in front of you all the time. So you can still be working in the best way possible and have a security blanket tucked in next to you that no one sees.
So let's go one step before that. Before a realtor has a client who wants to look at homes or wants to know their home price, like let's go into like the lead generation, just the raw beginnings of the lead generation. Let's say I moved to Carlsbad and I've got 35 people in my whole Southern California database or anything like that, just pure lead generation. What, and I know you've interviewed some people that are wizards on social media recently, right?
Yes.
What are your people doing for just lead generation? What does that mean right now?
It's the cool thing about right now is it's different and it's the same. So everyone's doing different things because everyone's always done different things. In my life as a coach, I would always say to agents, I don't care if you want to talk to people you know or strangers, just talk to somebody. So if you want to call for sale by owners and expireds and circle prospects, just listed, just sold, awesome, do that all day long. If you're like, oh my gosh, I have stranger danger, fear of talking to people I don't know, I'd rather talk to people I know, then go ahead and call people you know. The really cool thing now, if you just moved to Carlsbad, that's where I am, and you don't know anybody here, you have 35 people in your database, you, through our systems and technology, can still start with people you know, because now you have a national website, national neighborhood landing pages, national everything at your disposal through your app. So you can still be calling people anywhere in the country and be offering conversations about real estate to them to become a referral source for them.
Yep.
Go either way with that. Like, just talk to somebody. So if you'd rather talk to strangers, talk to strangers. If you'd rather talk to people that you know, already know you, like you, and trust you on some level, then go that route. just get your feet wet doing it. And the big aha that people always have, and if you're doing any of the bold pivot stuff right now, every agent that I talk to in bold pivot says, I called somebody and I thought it was going to be horrible. And it actually was a good conversation. And when I was actively lead generating as a salesperson also, listen, I got in my own head all the time too. 99% of my business was people I know. When I would get wild and go call FSBOs for the day, I would always end up having good conversations, because even if someone had a rough approach, you're still trying to help them accomplish a goal. And the overriding theme of the day is, I'm doing my job and that feels good. So
Yep.
calling people, strangers or not, is awesome. The third leg of that right now is getting into the Facebook lead generation. So that's like a blind source you can do. And then when they call, you have to get on it though. You've got to do your follow-up for it. And then you're going to be talking to people you don't know. So decide which camp you're going to live in and just go live there.
So let me say a couple things and tell me what this means to you. And then all of you GPSers there in Orange County, same question to you. Let me say, I think, two things, and then I want to know what this means to you. Number one, I'm going to say three things. Number one, the superpower of the real estate agent is being likable. Number two, education is the new lead generation. And number three, if your lead generation looks like you looking for buyers and sellers, you're doing it wrong. So Sara, what do you hear in that?
You're just talking to people, right? So the biggest turnoff, I say, like, agents came to me in the beginning of Corona time and they were like, well, I don't know who to call. I don't have any current leads. My pipeline is dry. What am I going to do? And I said, well, if you're calling people to help them, just call and say hi and have a conversation. If you're going to call a for sale by owner, they're like, I don't want to call FSBOs right now because I feel like I'm bothering them. I said, well, are you calling them to bother them? Or are you calling them to help them? They're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, that's your first problem. When you don't know why you're calling someone, you can't accomplish the goal. When you're calling someone to accomplish their goal, you know what to do when you're coming from contribution. So if you're calling a FSBO because you know that they live in a world right now where they don't know how to virtually do it, they're not protecting themselves, they're always going to be netting less at the end of the day when they sell on their own. When you know those facts and can talk to them about that, then you know you're calling to help them. And to say, well, yeah, I'd work with a buyer's agent. If you bring a buyer, I'll pay you. And then you're like, okay, great. So if I understand correctly, you're going to pay me to negotiate against you. What? There's so many great little things that you can learn along the way of like tips and tricks. And with a FSBO, that's it. You're going to help them accomplish their goal of selling in a better way and learning something new. So when I hear Jim saying through that list of stuff, it all comes to, why are you talking to people? If you're calling people to offer real estate conversations, those real estate conversations will grow into business. Some people don't have time for that. They're like, my why is to feed my family next week. I don't have time to make friends. Well, then go call 25 for sale by owners and get some business, right? It all depends on where your why is and how much time you have to burn through. If you can just start generating pipeline conversations, or if you have to get to business and write a contract in the next 7 days.
Yep. If anybody wants to jump in, just wave your hand and I'll see you and I'll let you in here. So Sara, I used to get all my business from doing open houses. I would do like at least one, if not two a week. And now I can't do open houses. So what are your best practices? What are your people doing to replace that?
Are you asking me like a role play, or are you asking me to tell a story?
Either way. I just want to know what your people are doing in that situation. Yeah, I kind of set that up like a role play. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, do you want me to counsel you?
Yeah, if I can't do in-person open houses, what's the next best thing right now?
Well, you can do a virtual open house and lead gen for it when you're going to place an ad ahead of time to have the virtual open house held this weekend. And in order to be, this house is debuting this weekend, you want to come see it, get on the list, enter your info here. We'll send you the link to Zoom through it with us as we guide you through the open house. Then you're going to gather names, numbers, and email addresses of people who are looking to buy and sell real estate. Why do you hold an open house? To get names, numbers, and email addresses of people looking to buy and sell real estate. When you were going to do that as a role play, I would say to you as an agent, well, why do you hold open houses?
Yeah, to put people in my database.
Right.
add
Okay.
people.
So how can we get to put people in your database right now? What can we do? There's so
We can
much.
still do the exact same thing right now.
And then you can get creative, right? Like I shared with my people a while ago, do those. And I saw, Kelly, you did it actually. Like you shared the coloring book, like kids packet thing. So you can put value out there for people of like resources that they can use. And if you're just looking to add people to your database, name, phone number, email, then find something that you can offer to people if they respond to you with their email address and phone number, and you'll give it to them, and then you're adding them to their database. If you're looking for immediate buyers or sellers, that's a different conversation.
You, and when I say you, I mean all of us real estate agents and all the market centers, you may or may not open a new escrow this month. I hope you do. You may or you may not. But the one thing for sure that I know you can do is you can build your database. And however long that we're not back to 100% of being able to go belly belly with people, if you're always just adding people to your database, when we get back belly to belly, you're going to be in such a better position than if you didn't, right? Sara, what did you learn from doing that survey about how people are working now and what their mindset is and how they're shifting? What did you learn from the survey? And are there any sort of success stories of people that have leaned into, getting virtual and they've made some strides?
Yes. This the survey was interesting in that it really my first question was, how is your business currently since March 15th? More, less, or the same? And we are pretty much holding steady with 50% at less and 50% divided between more and the same. What I'm seeing now that we're in finishing, like we've closed out month 2 of life like this, is, and why these calls are so important, there's nothing new. Like there's new ways that people are navigating the business, but you're still finding, in my big bulk of people who are answering my questions, half of them are working well and half of them are not. And that's normal for any time of the year. So if you're still out there plugging along, talking to your database, I make very few calls to my East Coast database. I called somebody last week to say, hey, how are you? She had taken her house off the market. 45 minutes later, I hung up the phone with her, and the last question she asked me was, so how's the real estate market? And she's like, yeah, actually, if I could find a house I want to buy, I would list again, and I would like to sell still, and blah, 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 blah. I hung up the call feeling great about it because you're touching your database, you're having good conversations with people, and still all they really want to know at the end of the phone call is, how's the real estate market? What's there out there to expect? So what I'm finding is people who are doing that, just calling people and saying hello and letting the conversation flow, they're getting business. One of my agents had that phone call happen, and through the course of the phone call, they got a referral of someone who, like, their neighbor who had to sell their house. Now, talking to people is still talking to people, and generating business is still generating business. We just have to use masks and gloves and more Zoom calls now. That's really the most important thing to understand, is that so many people are just still out there. We're essential, and not all states are like that. So your home inspectors can still go out there and work. Everyone can still go out there and get the deal closed. There's 100% a way to do every single task along the 175 tasks to close a real estate transaction. You just might have to think a little bit differently to do it. The difference with our company is that whether it's your team or your market center or KW International, everyone is here to give you the resources to get it done.
So let me say those 3 things again now that we've talked about it, and let's see if you hear it any differently. Number 1, the superpower of a real estate agent is being likable.
Mhm.
So in all the stuff that Sara's talking about that you're doing, your real superpower, the way to attract people, is to honestly to be likable. And so you need to make sure you're showing up in a way of, hey, I'm here to give, I'm here to contribute, I'm here to serve you in customer service somehow. I'm not here taking, right? So be likable. Then education is the new lead generation, right? It's going to take time. It's going to take multiple touches. Know your market, know your numbers, educate them on real estate, or educate them on something else that matters to them. But education is the new lead generation, right? And then the third thing was, if your lead generation is you looking directly for buyers and sellers, you're doing it wrong, which is kind of a long way of saying number 2. Like show up as the likable, helpful, educated person, and you're going to need to talk to a lot of people. That is real estate. That is the name of the game. And when you do that, business will come to you over time. It may not happen as fast as you want, but over time it'll happen.
But the timing thing is important. And that's why I say to know your why in the beginning. If you are just in this to build your business over the next 6 to 12 months and get strong and have an awesome career and get to number one, that's great, and talk to everybody. If you need to put food on your table and you need to make money, you have to call, there's people who've raised their hands and said, I would like to sell my house. You can help them do it in a better way. When you make those phone calls to anybody, whether it's your cousins or for sale by owners or your circle prospecting, if you are coming from contribution and you really are just looking to have a conversation and bring value to someone, whether it's sharing news about, if you're circle prospecting, then know neighborhood information, and that's the be an educator. Like, know about new stores that opened or something that's different that you can share value with the people in addition to the real estate value. In this market, that's important. And then when you have commission breath, people can smell it coming a mile away through the phone, through Zoom, through everything. Coming from contribution changes everything. You're coming to help them and they feel it, right? So you're just having conversation, you're listening, and you've got to relax. Like when you're talking to people, you have to just listen with intention. And then the whole repeat and affirm is super important if you guys have ever done bold work. And then, so if I hear you correctly, you're saying blah, 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 and then move on, right? So yeah, I want to sell my house. Great, you called me about it, just listed. That's awesome. I want to sell my house in a year and a half after my daughter gets married, because then I'll have the equity. So now I could be like, oh, forget this guy. He doesn't want to sell for 18 months. Or I could be like, that's awesome. Your daughter's getting married in 18 months from now. Is she staying local or is she moving far away? Just keep talking and have more conversation. When you're focused on bringing value and contribution, you'll have a productive conversation. You'll feel good. They'll feel good. And you'll have someone strong to stay in your database versus, oh, this guy doesn't want to do anything for 18 months. I just had a Facebook expert come on to my market center and talk the other day, and he was talking about the long game, right? If you're looking for immediate gratification, you've got to go FSBO and expired. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing to talk about. If you're looking to build your business, he just closed transactions from Facebook leads from 2015. Those people started looking.
He stayed in touch with them.
He stayed in touch with them. 2 transactions from 2015 have closed in 2020. I'm not mad about that, to get paid 5 years from now, So, but you have to understand, you're either playing the long game or the short game. The best agents are playing both, right? You're looking to do stuff now and you're planning for the future at the same time.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have questions for Sara or thoughts you guys want to share?
Actually, I agree with Sara. I have a client that I've been nurturing since 2018, since I was, in Coldwell Banker. And, before it was, they wanted to buy in 6 months. And I did a buyer's consultation at the time. And then we keep in touch, and then things have changed. He was working in Irvine. She was working in Rancho Santa Margarita. Now they transferred him in San Diego, and but I'm still in contact because he's kind of debating to sell his Norco property and move into the Orange County. Could be, maybe Oceanside, I don't know. So, but I'm still in contact, and they still reply to me. They still talking to me. They still, hey Sandra, as soon as we pull the trigger, we definitely will contact you, blah, blah, blah. And, you never know.
It's like looking for clients in this business is not, and I'll say this because I know Chip and the other Sandra are brand new agents. I think it's not like you're just going through a deck of cards looking for the one and then you find it, okay, let's go write an offer. You're collecting cards, right? You're building your database, and then the bigger it gets, the more touches you got to make. Right? That's the systematic marketing to your database. So it's building this collection of people. I don't care if you start out with 10, that's fine. You're going to build it, and then you're going to do your multiple touches. And it's almost like, you're really successful in real estate when you're juggling like 200 follow-up touches. Like that becomes your job. And if you can remain likable through all of that, you're going to be fine. That's a superpower. right?
Mhm.
Any other questions? Thank you for that, Sandra B. Cool. Anything you want to leave us with? Parting thoughts, Sara? Brilliant closing statements? No pressure.
Of a closing statement. You know, the likability thing really is it. The theme to understand is just that come from contribution, have conversations with people knowing that you're there to help them and you have knowledge that they take for granted, like that you take for granted because you're an expert in the field now, whether you've been doing it for 30 days or 30 years, it doesn't matter. You've been through school and you have so much more real estate knowledge and people don't understand. So, and like literally I had this happen. My sister thought she had to have 20% down to buy a house. So it happens to the best of us, right? Like, don't forget your family. Just talk to people. The more people you talk to, the more comfortable you'll be talking and the more conversations you'll have, which will lead to more business, and don't lose them in your database.
Fortune's in the follow-up.
I know. I could end with like a cliches if you want.
Cool. All right, Sara. Well, thank you for jumping on here.
Thank you, Sara.
Call you in a bit.
Guys, have a good day.
Bye. Thanks so much, Sara.
So Kelly,
Thank you.
what did you hear in there? I mean, there's a lot of that stuff that I know is right up your alley and my alley, but what stood out to you, Kelly?
I think it's just focusing on consistently building your database, which is really critical right now, but consistently following up with them and touches. You know, I always talk about touches, you know, and it has to be kind of systematic. I think we're doing a good job at showing ourselves being busy realtors. And then I think the trick now is how to turn that into a deal. And I think it's really important what we're doing, showing we're busy realtors and we're working and we know the area. Now, the next thing is to try and get that to turn into a contract eventually.
Let me share one thing. Will you let me share my screen, Kelly? I need your permission.
I don't know how to do that, but okay.
So picture a pyramid. Let me see if it let me. Oh, well, if it lets you do it, great. Otherwise, I'll just describe it.
Okay, it's not letting me.
Picture a pyramid, right? And the very bottom of that pyramid is the advertising or the marketing. And so the stuff that you guys do through, that's okay. The stuff that you guys do through GPS, laying down the foundation, are those market updates that I see, right? And then above your advertising are your maybe your different email campaigns or your touches. And then as you go up the pyramid, it gets into more one-on-one touches, whether it's a Facebook message or a text or ultimately a phone call or a face-to-face meeting. All those things are connected. And so you got to lay down that base and just do the marketing, do the consistent advertising, because that makes your messages more powerful, which makes, you know, leads to that pinnacle. So you can't just do one piece of it. It all has to add together. And I think that's so true. I mean, one of the things that I see GPS agents doing better than anyone out there across Southern California is you've got consistent branded marketing that's really clear, that lays you down as, hey, I'm the neighborhood expert. Like what you've done, Kelly, for Carissa in her area. I mean, she's pretty new to real estate, but you make her look like she's a 20-year veteran who knows the market's ups and downs. So that's really important to lay that foundation. Kelly, you're muted.
Sorry, I was unmuted. I want to give an example of a call. So I just posted our market updates. Carissa had posted one and Sandra, and then I posted mine, and then we posted all three together. I received 5 Instagram messages. 2 of them were for other realtors asking me, how did I do that? So they're like looking at the data and they really liked it, which is, you know, the what's the saying, the highest form of a compliment is
imitation is flattery.
Yeah, however that saying is. But the other were 3 people in my neighborhood who did ask me to run a quick CMA for them. They're not ready to move right now, but it's just that consistency that they see that information coming out. So it does
Yeah.
work.
Cool. What else did you guys get from this, or what questions do you have? How can we help you?
Jim, this is Sandra. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Um, I think the two things that really popped out for me was being in service, like not feeling bad about calling people and not sounding desperate for work, but really being there to be in service and seeing how you can help, meet their goals. And I really like that. And just like, just getting on the phone and calling as many people as possible, because you're just going to get better and better as you go. And I think people can hear you're genuine. Just like I think people, you're just going to practice, but people know when you're genuine or not. So I think just doing the action and being
Mhm.
consistent and having that consistent routine every day is what really jumped out at me.
That's exactly right. I mean, you could sit down and say, okay, I need to make 40 phone calls, and you could burn through your phone calls and be like, oh, great, I touched 40 people. Or you could say, wait a minute, the superpower of an agent is being likable. So let me just start calling people, and let me just focus on being real, authentic, on listening, on just seeing where this goes. Let me just show up and help people. And you might only talk to 11 people, but you were real and you were authentic and you were likable. You will do more business that way than jamming through and just touching 40 people.
Right, totally. And just to for a quick example, Chip called me out of the, just like we haven't spoken in months. And so he called and he left me a message. I called him back, and it was literally, I mean, obviously it was, his call was really to tell me that he's in real estate and that like if I know anyone or if I'm looking, but that we never talked about that. Like it was really about, hey Sandra, what are you doing? How's your business? How's this going? How's your new home? And it was so genuine, and I really appreciated that. And then when I asked him, hey, how are you doing? What do you and he was kind of catching me up. And then at the very end, he's like, so if you know anyone, that'd be great. Or I mean, well, little did we know I was going to join the team, but
Yeah, that's funny. That's cool.
I just thought that was a great example of someone being genuine and really approaching just creating that relationship and making it so authentic and so interested in what I like, personally caring about what I was doing and how I was doing. And that made me just take down all my guards and like think, wow, if there's any way I can help them, I will.
That's awesome. Very cool.
And
Good job, Chip.
And now you can take on the business now that you're on the team.
I know. See,
That's
one
okay.
way or the other.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
See, Chip's got his profit share tree growing.
Totally. You got it.
True.
The way you're going to make your money in profit share is you're going to hit like a couple of kind of gold mines where they do business, or they bring in people who do business. Like the people in Keller Williams that are making 100,000 to $1 million in profit share, they have like 5 influencers over time, and then those 5 influencers did something. So you never know. So that's good.
How does profit share work exactly? I know you get a little cut of the people you bring in, but you also get a cut of people they bring in, or what? Yeah,
it goes down 7 levels. There's a whole class on that. And there's probably some videos that Kelly or I can send you off of KW's YouTube that kind of go over it. But yeah, depending on the profit of the market center that month, you get a fraction of that if someone you referred in had a closing that month.
Gotcha.
So.
Hey Chip, I'll make you proud, I promise.
No pressure, no pressure.
I love your lofty goals of wanting to get like 34 in the first month. I was like, or the first year. I was
well, when Sandra has a $4 million closing month, she is going to need you to take her out to lunch, Chip, because that's the way to do that.
You got it. Wherever you want.
All right. Well, Kelly, anything? I'm going to skedaddle. I got a 1:30 I'm late for. Is there anything else you guys need from me before I sneak off?
I don't think so. Thanks for being here, Jim.
Thank you for doing this, Jim, but everybody else hold on for a second, so. Okay, bye, Jim, thank you.
Bye, guys. Yep.
Hey, guys, what'd you think about that? Did you like it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was awesome.
Good.
Straightforward.
If you notice, we're live on YouTube right now.
That's why I don't have a picture up.
So I'll go back and look at it on YouTube and see if it's okay, but it's good. We're going to be doing a little bit more of that. So I now have the paid version of Zoom, not the cheapy version of Zoom anymore. So it gives us a little bit more options. You guys, if you guys want to use it, I can give you guys my login and you guys can use it. Okay. So Monday, we're going to do our pipeline meeting at the office. You saw my email. Yes. Shh.
Well, we are in YouTube Live.
Well,
So it's no shh.
yeah, but I don't have very many people following me on YouTube. So that's the other thing. We need to go in and like each other and subscribe each other's posts. So I was going to do this on Facebook, but I decided to do it on YouTube. On Just Our GP. It's fine. We can go into the office. The meeting room is now.
I am in the office right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Everything is social distanced in the training room. So, we got 6 feet between, so it's not a big deal. But I told you guys that I got you all masks. So they have a little GPS logo. And and I have some booties and a couple of things. So I just thought it'd be a good time to be able to get together at 11 o'clock. We'll see each other. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Okay, so it's in the Mission Viejo training room Monday at 11. But, okay.
All
right.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting everyone in person.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Anybody working on anything hot right now since I have you on the phone?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I still haven't received a key or like card fob or whatever for the office.
You have to ask Ziad for that.
You have to talk with Ziad.
Yeah.
I'll text Ziad that you need him. Okay.
He's here.
Is he in the office normally? Like, is that something I can pick up on Monday that you can have ready?
Oh, yeah. They'll be there Monday. I'll text him and tell him to have it ready for you on Monday.
Can you have it ready for me too on Monday?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Um,
And Kelly, is there anything I can do today that I'm missing or that I need to do? I got my Supra key.
Super key. Nope, just for you, you need to start telling people you're in real estate. Start making those phone calls like Chip made.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, just
and
start calling.
Throw some on your Instagram too. You have so many followers. I'm kind of blown away.
I know. I'm waiting for the right, next week, but I'm waiting for the right way to approach it.
Don't be scared. Just do it.
I know, but I thought we were going to brainstorm a way how to announce it.
Well, I
just say it.
Yeah, I did the
scream at it and say,
a cute way to do it. If you like the announcement I did is just say this just happened. And the announcement, share my announcement of you.
And I could say this is how I use my quarantine time.
Yeah, this just, a lot of people do that when they're buying houses, this just happened and they're standing in front of their home.
Okay.
Oh, I did want to say one thing about Monday. I am going to try, and I'm not the best photographer, but I want to get some random shots of people sitting in front of their computer and, a couple with the face mask on. I just want to get some random shots of the team doing different things. Okay. So I'm going to take some pictures. So dress accordingly. Okay. Don't come sloppy.
Come on.
Got it.
Okay.
I was going to wear backwards snapback.
I know. She
I
just
want a
takes
picture
all
with
the fun out.
I want a picture with all of us with our masks on.
Yes, that'd be so fun.
I'm super happy with the mask that we got. That's it for me. Anything else? No?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, Just keep talking to people, keep giving back. Okay? If you're at restaurants, or I mean, some restaurants are opening up, but if you're out talking to people in the community and it's like at a restaurant and you're taking takeout, snap a picture of it. Snap a picture of it and say, hey, I'm out here supporting local restaurants, you know, and stuff like that. And my little group, OC Supper Club, I got 589 people on it right now.
Yeah, you're not posting anything on mine. What's up with
I'm-
that?
I'm not you. That's Laguna Hills Supper
Come
Club.
on.
What
What happened with my business one? I haven't
You-
seen no posting from that, Kelly. You just
have-
no love for me anymore. That's
You
it.
have to sell a house.
Oh, I'm working on it.
All right, guys.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
Kelly. See you guys
Bye.
on Monday.
Bye,
Looking
thanks.
forward to meeting you all.
I'm here if you need me. Okay,
Thanks,
bye.
Kelly.
Bye.
Bye.